4, 3, 2, 1. Bingo. We're on. Hi, guys. Thanks for watching, listening, or otherwise noting. Even condemning. That's okay. Today we're going back into The Darkening. That's a book. It's by Rob and Laura Petri. Available at least at Amazon and other electronic books. Maybe even from like your local bookstore. Check it out. Great book. We're going along with it here, chapter 4. As I promised, today we'll do chapter 4 and chapter 5. Chapter 4 has an amazing title, The American Rebirth of Racial Politics. Nobody is safe. You know what? There's a point there. Let me just read it. We'll stop every once in a while, see if I agree with it. I don't always. It's government, religion, and society as a whole that show a clear and unfair preference toward this particular minority. It's this prejudice that is the real systemic racism so often cited by liberal communists and black minorities. They love to use this and other catchphrases to suit their own purpose. Now, it is when the 12% of the population become far more favored than the remaining 88 that we suffer from institutional prejudice and systemic bigotry. It's a fact. What is bigotry? What is that? That's when you treat somebody differently, denying them or affording them some things, some privilege, whatever, based on race. That's racial. That's racial bigotry. You can also have religious bigotry. You can have all sorts of bigotry if you are specifically leaving people out because of the way they look, because of the way they believe in God, unless that belief is harmful toward you. Let's talk about Islam later. Okay, let's get back to it. I wax. Not my car. That'll be done on Friday. This is the true systemic racism which Negroes and liberal sympathizers distort amid their own crocodile tears as they beg for equality. Their version of freedom is the freedom to dominate society and suppress all non-Negroes in the name of communism. Their definition of equality is equally impossible because they will not rest until they are the masters of all non-Negroes. Bigotry is a double-edged sword. It cuts both ways. Beware of the darkening. It's all around you. It's happening every day. It has for decades. Anthropologists point out that no nation, led or governed by Negroes, has ever stood more than a couple of decades. Isn't that interesting? That particular race has never managed to build or maintain a society, a civilization, beyond grass huts, loincloths, and rocks. They're almost unanimous in their findings, and those findings show that Negroes, whether due to genetics or deeply rooted habits, seem incapable of leading anyone, including themselves. Hell, look at Barack Obama. Didn't do a very good job there either. You know, especially among Negroes, there is a mentality similar to that of a chimpanzee troop. Chimpanzee troop mentality triggers a thirst for power and breeds corruption the moment a particular simian gains power over the troop. This is also a common Negroid trait. As with their not-so-distant simian cousins, there is an irresistible need, a surge to be in charge. As in the troop mentality, so it is in a group of Negroes. Everyone wants to be in power. Everybody wants to be in charge. Everyone wants to have the last say. Every one of them wants to run the show. Naturally, the majority stays in line under the threat of the biggest, worst, and most vicious members of the troop. Former mulatto President Barack Obama is an excellent example of how even such a mighty nation as America can be brought to its knees in less than a decade. This is exactly what anthropologists worldwide had and have predicted in other nations such as Haiti, South Africa, Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe. The failure of Obama's 8 years in office proved anthropologists to be right. They were able to say, "We told you so." Negroid-induced societal disintegration is a proven phenomenon dating back through recorded history. I talked to Dr. Alia Lin, an anthropologist of note. Here's what she said, and I quote, get the page right. "Negroes have not yet developed or evolved to a higher level of organized society. Human conscience is a magical tool that helps to maintain order among people. Unfortunately, Negroes show a disturbing lack of conscience, shame, or even guilt. This most necessary human emotion is critical to any advanced society. Every society, every nation dominated by Negroes has fallen apart in short order. This is evidenced by the fact that no advanced society has ever been built or created or even designed by Negroes. In short, they are not the builders of civilization. No, history demonstrates how they exploit, devour, and destroy the civilizations that they conquer." All right, you know what? These anthropologists, they're degreed. This is the result of their study. I'm not going to call them wrong because I don't have a degree in anthropology. It makes sense, but it seems a little bit harsh. I'd like to know what you think. It sounds bigoted. It's out of the book. I want to read chapter 5, The Birth of the Darkening, from Moscow with Love. Let's go back to the beginning of the Darkening. It all began in the late 1940s. It was a period of social and financial instability in America as the people and the economy were still suffering from the financial, personal, social, and political effects of their latest war, World War II. Before America could fully recover from the ravages of war, they were pushed into yet another war. Yeah, World War II is barely over. They were pushed into Korea at the behest of Harry S. Truman. You'll know him as the bomber of Hiroshima, Hokkaido, a slaughterer of hundreds of thousands of people. The same man, okay, unnecessarily dropping atom bombs, decides now he's going to push us into another war, gets us into the Korean War where we never belonged. It's yet another example of how power breeds corruption. Look at Harry Truman. Many Americans were against participation in the United States in World War II. A lot of Americans did not want the U.S. into World War II. They viewed it as Europe's war. But it was after Pearl Harbor bombing that they found they had a reason to fight somebody, but still the majority of people did not favor going to Europe. They thought you could bomb the hell out of Japan, but that was another matter. From a justifiable war in the Pacific to one of questionable reason in Europe, America was once again pushed into the chaos of war. There remains suspicion that the Japanese raid on Pearl Harbor was orchestrated by Franklin Delano Roosevelt, then President of the United States. The Roosevelt family benefited great from subsidies, spiffs, insider trading, bribes, and various defense contractors, so it is said. For the first time, the military-industrial complex raised its ugly head. The cost in dollars, materials, and lives had taken its toll on the population while flattening resistance and fattening the wallets of the military-industrial complex and their shareholders. Isn't it interesting that politicians can insider trade? And that's normal. If you or I do it, our ass is in jail. Only propaganda from Washington even held the people together during these wars. The lies, the innuendo coming from Washington lured a chronically gullible American people into yet another war. The media worked in close cooperation with the War Department, only releasing approved news and filtered information to preserve America's enthusiasm for the war. They could tell any lies they want. They were believed. To further control the people, the government orchestrated false shortages: coffee, sugar, gasoline, flour. These shortages were manufactured. Thousands of tons of these same things rotted unclaimed in warehouses in Europe and the Pacific. Even more of these items were towed out to sea and dumped in the ocean when nobody was looking, all in order to keep the people in line. The shortages had to be witnessed locally. You understand, if you want to get the public behind you in a war, let them blame the war for these shortages. Let them get sick and tired of it. Let them believe, by inference, that as soon as the war is over, the shortages go away. Shortages were bogus. They were bullshit. You know what they were? They were a tool to keep the gullible American public, rah, rah, flag, flag, kill, kill. By managing a man-made shortage, they controlled the people. Fake commodity shortages kept the people in line. This gave them a feeling of contributing to the greater good. You know what they were contributing to? The fattened wallets of people like, people like Roosevelt, people like Truman, manufacturing giants, everything from sneakers and bootlaces to bombs. Sucks, doesn't it? Well, listen, tomorrow, last day of the week, we're going to go into chapter 6, the title, The Things People Believe, and chapter 7, Another War for Fun and Profit. So we'll do 6 and 7. That'll be tomorrow night. I'll give you the weekend to stew over it, think about it. In the meantime, I just want to tell you, this is disturbing. It warrants further discussion. Even if half of this is true, we got a reason to be pissed. And look at Congress, look at the Senate, look at the office of the president, look at all federal personnel and offices with a jaundiced eye. Don't you think so?